All right. Hey, I'm Phil. We're back here with more Spelljammer Combat and Exploration design. Give me a second here to check my signal. We're going to dive into some more map work today. We got a playtest tonight. That is, boy, am I looking forward to that. It's going to rock. Checking my signal. Boy, am I looking forward to that. Cheers there. And I'm going to then now take a moment. If you follow me on Twitter, I have just posted on Twitter. So if you don't follow me on Twitter so that you can see when I post that I've gone live. I'm going to just take a moment here to boost my signal across the Discords where I sharpen my own development knives, including the DMsGuild Lounge, the DTRPG Discord community, Terran's Indestructible Designosphere, Trent Monk Temple, Dungeoneer Pack, Fry Minis, Zipperon. These are all the different YouTube channels that either I support or are supporting of me, or are just fun communities to hang out at. D&D Discord, which is soon going to be the D&D Beyond Discord, so make sure you're aware that those things are consolidating. Rich Mary, Cleric Corner. Everybody's super freaking cool people online. Just build cool tools and hang out with cool people, and everything's going to be okay. So let's see. I think that's everything that I need. Signal boosting. So let us dive into the Molstrom. This is the cover that I built. I'm happy with it. So that'll be our book cover. Let's see. I spent maybe 4 sessions building this down in the playlist for the In Command. Like maybe like around episode, I want to say episode 35-ish. So check that out. This is how big it's going to appear on the DMsGuild, the dashboard where they have this strip of new releases. So should be interesting enough for people to want to click on it, to zoom in a little bit to see how that looks, and then they'll click in on the full package, you know. All right, so that's the thing. What are we working on? Well, we got this flying shark mounted shark lance. I guess in homage to Dragonlance, which is coming out. I'm going to be pleasantly surprised if Wizards provides mechanics for riding a dragon with a giant lance. But all I have to do is swap out that scaver with an adult-sized dragon, and we've got it going. Obviously, I've got all the mechanics for that stuff that we've been building out. If you want to check out my stuff, in the description down below, there's a link to the DMsGuild, which has got a bundle of stuff that I've built that you can pick up at a heavy discount. But more importantly, you can click on any of the previews of those books, and you'll see the full book from cover to cover. I'm like the bookstore. You can read everything that I do, and so you can know that it's worth your buy, which is why I have so many 5-star reviews. So because you don't have to buy it unless you like it, and if you like it, you should probably review that you like it. Hey, Micah, good to see you, man. So that's that. There's playtest content in my Patreon as well. You don't have to be a member. You just got to click on the Patreon link. It takes you to my About page. My About page reroutes you back to this playlist, as well as the content that I have on the Google Doc, which is read only, and it's not even the final form yet. So once we actually get our final form of document back from Adam Hancock, our editor, we'll be able to drop all this into a Word document of all things, so that we can do page layouts and to see how we're going to do all that online with you. As soon as we get the edits back and we have the final version of the text, the playtest document obviously will no longer be relevant, and it will ultimately be removed and replaced with the link that will take you to the DMsGuild. But again, it'll be 100% preview. So everything that you're seeing here in the playback of this stream, you'll be able to eventually go into the document and find page counts for where all this stuff is and play along with us. Do you guys stream the playtests? No, we do not stream the playtests. We record it for internal consumption, and once we finish the playtesting, we'll have an opportunity to go back and either rerun scenarios with the content that exists with those that would volunteer to do so, and if I have a sign-off from all my playtesters that they're okay with it, I can cut snippets out of it where, you know, we're giving each other noogies and farting and making stupid jokes and stuff like that. We can get rid of all that crap and just stick to the core mechanics of the different processes. If everyone signs off on that, then we will post the playtest content. If I can't get a sign-off like that, then I'll just do another I'll just do another test. I'll just run another game with people that know that it's going to eventually be streamed, so keep your lid on. But I've got I think I have a roster of around 20 players at this point who've done different testing with me, either in the Eberron adventure that I stream on Monday nights, and soon we'll be streaming more when the playtesting here is done, as well as Light of Xaryxis, Descent into Avernus, and Horde of the Dragon Queen. Those are the 3 official Wizard of the Coast adventures that we've been playtesting the different command mechanics inside of. So, Horde of the Dragon Queen for mass combat and controlling squads in an outdoor scenario, basically raiding the city and fighting the dragon with troops. The Descent into Avernus has both the Infernal War Machine rules that we developed, as well as like larger scale creatures to fight them with and to build troops with. And then we transitioned into Spelljammer mechanics when that dropped, because we were at the tail end of the vehicle design mechanics, and we just upscaled them into Spelljammer to where we are now. And then we started doing Light of Xaryxis playtesting with the Citadel of Light at first, back on I think it was episode 30 of this In Command stream that I have. I think it was episode 30, where 29 or 30, where I plotted out how you would run Light of Xaryxis, which gets us back to today's point. I'm pretty happy. Okay, spoiler alert. The big fat spoiler alerts for my playtesters today, but I don't think I'm going to show anything that you guys probably haven't already looked at. So, but I have my Roll20 set up. So here we are. This is going to be the playtest environment that we'll be using in Roll20 today. I have, again, like I've been talking about, I have three rungs here. I've got the 500-foot scale here, which is the asteroid map that we've been working on. Here's the 50-foot scale where we have a dogfight. So while let's zoom in. I got the tools, so I may as well use them. So at this scale, if we're looking at the 500-foot scale map, here's the 2 ships in the asteroid belt. And then in relation to these 2, we scroll over here, and here's your 500-foot by 500-foot squares here that are broken down into 50-foot squares. A space galleon is is 130 feet long, according to here. The SAS, I won't bother wasting time looking at that. The SAS has the galleon has a 130 foot long vessel, which we can see down here, and that fits. This is a horse. This is basically a 150 foot long horse. One of the big design revisions for the combat and exploration system that we've developed is that we treat ships like horses. In that a large-sized horse filling a 2x2 space doesn't fill a 2x1 space like it did in 3rd edition. The evolution from 3rd edition to 3.5 was that large-sized creatures didn't have an elongated shape. It was now a square shape. Because if you're going to... I'm not going to do it here because it'll mess up my map a lot. But if I rotate this, if I have this facing this way now, it takes up if it was a horse, a 2x2 square. And if it goes this way, it's a 2x2 square. It became mechanically complicated to have elongated shapes try to maneuver inside of space with squeezing and positioning. So they eliminated that by making everything a square. And then they forgot that they did that 15 years ago and went back with ships to doing this elongated shape. And they didn't... So, to simplify the universe, we keep, at the 50-foot scale, we keep this square shape effect so that you know that no matter what direction your ship is facing, it's accommodating the space that it needs. And if you're like, well, this is a really narrow ship, why would it do that? It's because these sails are really wide. Like these sails are going to fill 100 feet worth of space, so you may as well just make it a 3x3. And with the Neogi Night Spider, these legs are extending out to here on the map, which is a 4x4 space when you look at it, and it has sails and rigging all throughout its legs connecting back to its thorax, which you can see here. See, mechanically, they've built these things to accommodate that space, but Wizards didn't have any reason to develop this spacing mechanic for these ships, because they didn't, I don't want to hate on them. They have their own design specs, and they have their own direction that they want to go in, and 5th edition is not about large-scale mass combat. and having smooth mechanics that work from 5 foot to 50 foot to 500 foot to 1 mile scales. That's a first edition idea, and which is my roots. And the whole point of all of this project is to offer that same root of experience from the OSR sort of scene, of having control of lots of troops and large scale stuff to be able to do really epic battles using the same mechanics you already learned in the dungeon scale for 5e, which is why this asteroid belt literally looks like a dungeon. The thought experiment here and the proof that we're doing with the playtesting is that you literally can have a 500 or even a 1 mile scale combat using the same basic mechanics of 5e, so you can smoothly transition from the 5 foot being on deck fighting Umber Hulks and Neogi and slaves to scaling out to the 50 foot scale to have dogfights where you're being attacked by little fighter ships coming off of this night spider to invade your space and to harass your team. Like, these things would be, like, if I were to drag it down here to this map, if I can, oh, the miracle. Like, these things are roughly this big. The Infernal war machines are gargantuan and huge sized trucks. We just gave them wings so they can flit around, and they can only move 10,000 miles per day. Very, very slow. But per round, that's 500 feet. So on a per round basis in this asteroid map, these little guys are as much of a threat in movement as the big ship is, and they can move 6 squares just like your fast ship can. So if they send a cloud of little fighter ships hanging off of this, or if we're looking over here at the Night Spider, it has the inventory space to actually house these things on it, or it could just clip them to the wing, to the legs of the Night Spider, so I can have as many of these things hanging out as it could possibly carry. It takes one of these things is a ton, and the way that we recalibrated the tonnage mechanics for Spelljammer, it is easy for you to carry ships and shitloads of cargo. It's all broken down depending on if you're a light wood vessel, like a light wood ceramic vessel, or a wood bone vessel, or a stone metal vessel. Heavier things can carry more weight, but they have less capacity, so it kind of scales. It'll all be in the book for you. Stuff that's important. We built all that off of how much does a 5 foot square of rock weigh? The answer is 500 pounds. And so if you upscale that to 50 pounds, and we check it out, we do the Googles, and it's a couple tons. So each 50 foot square of ship that you have, this is a 3x3, so it's a 3 square ship. So a typical ship would be able to carry up to what is it? It's 10 tons per square. So like a light wood ship would be able to carry 30 tons of material, but could drag 10 times the amount. Anyway, it's in there. Not a huge detail, but the point is that these little fighter ships are well within the carrying capacity of these vessels if you properly calibrate how much weight they can actually carry. So we sussed all that out, and so that's what the team's going to get hit with today, which is why I say spoilers. So I'm just going to delete that and pull this guy in. But yeah, these little fighter ships can chase after and interact with larger size. I mean, on this map, it looks the same regardless of the sizes, but that's the same in a dungeon map. A human-sized creature, a small-sized creature, and a tiny-sized creature all take the same 5 foot square in a dungeon map, because that is the finest grain of resolution that you have for the D&D mapping system. When you're at the 50 foot scale, the little fighter ships are still taking 1 square, while these become gargantuan and huge vessels. And then at the 5 foot scale, obviously it becomes super significant. But yeah, so that's the basic gist of that. We already ran through like the pacing of moving through things, the hidden paths, the gateways to get through without taking damage. Probably going to be like a 3 or 4 round combat. We'll kick through it, see how it goes, maybe run it again. And if it turns out, if it feels good, then we can lock in the new mechanics that we made to help simplify the action economy of sharing control of different siege weapons and squadron ships, and this will give them an opportunity to pick up a small fighter ship or two, so that when we go to the Omama combat, they'll have the main carrier ship, and they'll have something they can chase the shark around in as they go roaming through the asteroid field trying to get rid of Big Mama. So, eye booger, excuse me. So that's the quick skinny there. That's what we've been working on. So let's see. And then, so right now what we're going to work in, if you check in the announcement below, we're instead now going to work on Act 4, Chapter 10, Space Invaders, and then attack on the Citadel. So we are going to shift out of the asteroid map, which is, by the way, coming along great. So I am very pleased with how the black and white on this is coming along. Got our grid, got our Nyogi. We've sussed out pretty much the line weight and the inking for all the asteroids up to this point. So this weekend probably we'll have the rest of the line art here completed, and we'll dive into the color space. I'm going to spare you guys the details until I actually get into the color space. We'll come back around and we'll keep working on this. But essentially, for a black and white, low grade print out version, this is good to go. So, what does that mean? We're going to move on to the next thing. And so, let's see, Citadel. So the next thing that we're going to work on is we are going to go back into Light of Xaryxis, and let's go find ourselves. There we go. Going to start working on the Light of Xaryxis directly. So yada 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 yada. Let's see what we got. There we go. There's our grid space there. So each one of these squares is 10 by 10. I'm going to borrow this map for framing so that I can find all the major structures inside of this scenario. I can snap that there and get back to here. And then once I have all the major landmarks in place, I can remove this. But I wanted to point this out to you guys, how close Wizards was to getting what it is that we're doing here. Like, so close, but you just missed it. So let's drop this guy into the map space here. Wizards, if you guys are watching, I literally live down the street. You guys can respond to any of my job applications to work with you guys. I can put all this stuff into your pocket if you want. You know, if there's anybody out there listening. But check that out. Oh my lord! Look at that 500-foot square that this just fell right into, because the Citadel is a 1 mile square object. So if we go back to the Nyogi hunt and we're looking at, these are all 500-foot squares, that means that the Citadel of Light, that's how big the Citadel would absolutely get wrecked if it tried to fly into this asteroid field. Just crushed. But what does that mean? That means we can do Raiden style. I don't know if you're a fan of the old Raiden game back in the 80s where you're playing fighter ships, kicking across a giant space citadel, fighting swarms of fighter ships with little turrets that pop up and take shots at you. They build those fields. If you don't know what, hold on. If you guys don't know what Raiden is, let me grab you a quick look at Raiden 2 Arcade. There. Let's just grab a screenshot. If you don't know what Raiden is, holy crap! This is what Raiden looks like. Hold on, see if I can find a better picture. Is there a better picture? Oh my god, that's so fun. Yeah, this one will be good. Copy image, paste. Okay, so here's your ship, your Raiden ship. Here's a tank unit. Here's a ship. Here's a turret. Here's a tank. Here's fighter ships that you're fighting. All these things have, they drop bullets onto the screen. You have to dodge. You have to dodge the bullets, and while you're doing DPS to all these different targets. So we can do that exact same thing with Light of Xaryxis here, because your ship's going to come in and it's going to fill. Where's my bits? And this is back on episode 30. I walked through the pacing of how your ship can engage with this. So I should actually just tell you to go look at the In Command Spelljammer Mechanics episode 28. 28 is the first touch of me being excited that Spelljammer is officially here and we can start mincing out the rules. I think it's by episode 30 that we're actually building the final encounter. I'm just coming back through and I'm doing the work that I said I would do in that episode of start building out the map to have the official, to start building the official content. Because they didn't think of this. I mean, how could they? I've invested a year in developing the system, and it just happens that Spelljammer works with it, which was always the intention, but we wouldn't know until Spelljammer came out. But like all the like the old Greenest and Flames playtesting that we have, like back in episode 2 or 4, I think, all that stuff works with what's going to be Dragonlance, so I can effectively already take the mechanics from the in-command system, just strap on a D8 times 10 lance for the Dragonlance, and have you guys kicking on Dragonflyers right away. I also have mechanics for upgrading the Ranger Drake Warden so that you can summon a dragon that's gargantuan in size and kick around on this. So, hey, good morning, Ian. Thank you. Thanks for the complo. Yeah, so we're going to work on this Citadel. Like I said, this thing fits in the 500-foot square, which is the area that we... Here, I'm going to press that button. Your ship... why is things not working? Hold on. I was supposed to be doing tools. That's why. Delete the elite. Bloop. So, like I just showed, the 500-foot scale, you can have your ship fitting inside of here. You can have multiple ships sitting inside of using squadron mechanics. You can have multiple Spelljammer ships sitting inside of the same 500-foot space, and then you can park them here at the docks, or park them here at the docks, or park them here at the docks. But individually, your ship you can have an individual ship inside of a 500-foot square. Typically, you don't want to have multiple ships if they're flying inside of a 500-foot space, because they tend to rub elbows with each other. But you can potentially have up to 5 Spelljammer ships inside of a 500-foot space if you're commanding them as a single squadron, which basically makes them mobile platforms of siege weapons that you use the same action economy to fire and reload, but then you also get to tack on as a verbal command to move the ships, and then use your bonus action or action to perform dash, dodge, dash, disengage, or additional. Well, that's only really 2 movements: dash and disengage. Oh yeah, and there's a hide action if you can pull that off. So, but right now we're going to take the Citadel of Light and we're going to start breaking it down into its 500-foot squares. See, like they have this centered up here, so that is the Citadel is sitting inside these spaces. As such, I want to make sure I'm happy where we're at. I'm going to let's see. Let's start. Let's just start building. I'm just going to get rough with it. Go here. Just doing a rough outline without necessarily getting too specific. Like I'm going to rebuild this thing to be my own. But I have to have the relevant outline for me to then further build into. So that's what we're going to work on today. Duplicate the layer. Free transform. Flip horizontal. Slide this into place. Is it me that's not centered, or is it the facility that isn't centered? How do I want to do this? Yeah, I think I want to put it here. Since I get to rebuild the map my way. Yeah, actually, hold on. Absolutely horrible circle there, Kearney. Let's just be rough with it at first and figure it out later. So we got central thing going on here. Yeah, we can do that. So let's duplicate, flip. Pull this in. The Citadel, the way that we built the adventure, the Citadel has this beam of light that connects to the star in the system, the star of Xaryxis, as it were. The way that we have the encounter built is that they can then channel that that beam from the star, and they can like they get energy in from the sun like this into the Citadel, and now the way that we built it is it shoots a beam out from it up to a mile away. So when the ships are coming in to try to invade, every now and again it has a recharge die. You can see this in one of the previous sessions. It's got a D6 recharge die. So whenever I roll a D6 at the beginning of the round, whoever's commanding the Xaryxis Citadel can use an action to do a death wave that does like D8 times 100 damage and just decimates whatever ships are in the way. So you can obviously save for half, but it's gonna hurt. And then you can scale down the damage as the pilot of the ship and take potentially up to 80 damage on a hit. So this last boss fight at 8th level is absolutely kicks your ass. So, but that's fun. Again, it's all in the stuff down below for you guys to take a look at in one of the initial sessions. This was the first. We actually already play tested this battle. I'm just coming back through and building more official-ish maps for it. So let's see. What do we need? Oh, great. That's convenient. Okay, so the Imperial Palace fits inside this one square. The only thing I'm really not happy about is that this temple isn't able to fit inside of one space. But I want to make it a 9 by. I guess I could. Maybe I could make it a 9 by 9. I don't know. Let's explore that idea real quick. Maybe we make it a 9 by 9 so that the map fits politely inside. Nah, let's not do that. Let's just leave it be. Speaking words of wisdom. We're stripping away that which we do not need. Now, okay, let's give it a try. Let's see what happens if we do that. I could build this thing so it sits in the seat, but it's not as cockeyed. And that chafes against my sensibilities that it's not properly centered up on stuff. But maybe that's just something I should get over and be okay with. Because that still fits inside the space, and that still roughly sits inside the space here. And then got 1, 2, 3. That mostly seems to fit. I could push that up like that. I don't know. What do you think? Should I have this sit inside of a 9 by 9 space like this, or should we keep it at the 10 by 10 where the grid is actually showing its being true size? I kind of want to leave it at true size, but the only thing I'm trying to do, the only thing I want to do for sake of hubris is get that Citadel to sit inside of one 500 by 500 foot space. Because it's not 1,000 by 1,000. It's not eating up enough space to really warrant saying it's 1,000 by 1,000 feet. It is only a 500 by 500 foot block that we have there. And all of these other, like here and here, are the two other main points. And then you got the shipyards and stuff down here. But we can drop turret stations into each of these 500 foot squares. Yeah. you know what? I don't think it's probably not actually important that I have this thing line up perfectly. I can just have it there. What did I got saying here? I think the true size looks good. Thanks. Yeah, we'll just go with that. Well, we can just have the hit points for the hold on. What would be the hit point capacity for this thing? Orbiting moons, random systems, scavengers, modern, blah blah, creatures, wilderness, wild storms. Where's my objects? I think it's past. I think it's above hazards. Fires, air bubbles, hiring squadrons, hiring a crew, maintaining a lifestyle aboard a ship, maintaining a lifestyle, repair. Spell casting. Oh, it must be further down. I think it's lost inside my own document. I'm going to have to fish it out. God knows I need to have a table of contents on the sidebar so it makes it easier to navigate this thing for people. But, oh, there it is. Massive objects. Right. So a 500-foot square of stone has 200,000 hit points, but that would be a solid block. This is only like 10 feet thick, which is... let's see, 500 divided by 60. That's 10 feet. So that would be what, 20,000 feet? No, it's hold on. It's 180 divided by 60 equals 3. 180 down. That's how it truly is. 3,000. Okay, so the each 500-foot square has 3,000 hit points. So when we're looking at this, you can basically break this with 3,000 hit points of damage, and your trebuchets and stuff are doing like D8 times 10 damage. So it's going to take 880. It's going to take about what, 30 trebuchet, like 30 shots of 30 trebuchet shots to bring down the Citadel itself. And considering the swarm of ships that are flying around and that's taking shots at you, that's a hard target to knock down. The adventure suggests that you casually land your invading spaceship down here, and the city's cool with you doing that, even though they literally just watched you come in and kill dozens or hundreds of their troops. The city is content with you landing somewhere in the city and just casually walking to the facility and say, hey guys, you should, not destroy our world after we slaughtered your children. But thank you, we're the good guys. No, you got to come in with authority. So it may come down to you destroying this thing. So you're going to need, if it's going to take 30 some odd shots for you to bring this thing down, it would be convenient if you had 30 some odd ships with you, which if you're perfect in your recruiting role in the previous chapter, when after the gladiator fights and the arcane and all that crap, you could potentially get up to 30 ships with you, which means that if you can have all of them survive getting through the star moths to engage the Citadel, you have a chance to be able to end this thing with authority. We are going to smash your Citadel. If you do not do what we say, we will break off your light connection and this thing will be plunged into darkness and you will all die just as you were planning on killing all of my people. Would you like to make a deal? Like, that's the way you can approach the adventure, which then gives you the authority to land your ship right the fuck here. Right in their what is that? Right in the plaza, and step up is like, yeah, we rocked your docks, so do what we say, and we can end this thing without, your secession battle and the end of this adventure is having you rely on a high CR creature to make things happen the way that you want them to happen. You have to convince them, again, Descent in the Avernus style. You have to socially convince the parties involved to do what you want. Using this system, you can come in with authority, and instead of using persuasion, you can use intimidation. So that's the point we're trying to make. The shenanigan pillar of play is half intimidation most of the time. It's either Sleight of hand or deception or intimidation is like the 3 skills that come into the shenanigan tier, or the shenanigan pillar of adventure. So yeah, I think we're going to be okay like that. We just have to stat up. We just have to make sure we have the Citadel stat up right. I'm okay with it floating between squares like that. I've been walking through the mental process of talking myself into making this thing sit, and how can I do that? So I'm pretty pleased with the results of everything so far. So I think I can just let that stand and take my peers' advice and going with merge down, going with that as is. So let's build some. Let's see if we can start making this thing sit inside space. Okay, yeah, we can just rearrange things so that they sit more properly. So here and here, 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 like that. Where's another point that we want? We want to pull out all the major points, and then we can spec into more specifics. This is a technical document that we're creating here, this map, so the idea of it being traced, for those that may have hackles raised about me tracing pieces of this map, it's a technical document. If I don't actually have the stuff that they're doing here, at least close enough to what's actually presented in the adventure, the document is not useful. So there has to be a certain degree. It's not like I'm tracing her face and calling it my own portrait. This is, like I said, it's a technical document. Some of these notes have to be hit, otherwise it's not Beethoven's concerto. So that is why I am at first here doing this overlay. But once I have the general idea of where the major points are at, I can get rid of the under thing and then build the city in my own style of art. Art. Let's see. So the Citadel itself, that is going to let me yeah, because for some reason specifics are important. Let's see, what do we need? What do we need? Thank you. Let's see, we need to have a few military strong points. So 1, 2, 3. Trebuchets can fire 1,500 feet away. So we have to strategically position weapon systems that can properly defend their facility. So we have to drop a weapon system here. We're going to parallel that here. This could very well be a weapon system turret station. here and here, and we're gonna have turrets inside of here. Man, if just a shout out, I started watching Periphery on I think it's Netflix. I think it's Netflix. It's got the gal from Kick-Ass in it, but man, that is a cool film, TV show. I have highly recommend it so far. I'm only 2 episodes in, but so far I'm a big fan. So if you considered whether or not to watch it, it's a very well produced show. It's interesting. My gal stopped watching it after the 3rd episode. She's like, "Oh, this is too good." So she's like, "Phil, you gotta watch this with me." I'm like, "Okay." I don't watch TV unless my gal is around. The only TV show I ever watch by myself is Rick and Morty, but that's only because I am a huge Rick and Morty fan. But otherwise, I do not watch TV unless my gal is around. I am constantly doing stuff like this, so I can drop turrets in here. Turrets in here, turrets here, turrets here. So each one of these squares, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. If you get within this space here, you're going to be within turret range. This will also obviously needs to have turrets as well. So this area is bad news. And let's see, we'll put one here and put one here. And have one out here. These are all weapon stations that if you get within 1, 2, 3, if you get within 1, 2, 3, this is a kill zone. This is a kill zone. This is a kill zone. You gotta stay away from the front of this. Now back down here, we'll need to have turrets set up here and here, here and here. Turret down here. I mean, I can just have it sitting inside of this. See, this is where these squares are bothering me. That's at the 500-foot scale that it's straddling those with its symmetry. But it is what it is. It's just chafing on my design sensibilities that it's not that it has to be, that I want it to be symmetrical, but it doesn't necessarily mean it fits inside of a convenient 500-foot square. Luckily, all these facilities have their own scaling, and then it's just going to be part of the document to say, hey, here's how these things sit. So ultimately, it won't be a big problem. It's just I'm just complaining about the lack of perfection because I guess I'm a complainer. Let's put another facility here, and we're gonna pull this in. Let's just cut that off there. Merge down. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then you got the central citadel itself. Should probably put some weapons out here on these tips. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a decent kill zone we got set up there. I think we have all of our bases. Haha, pardon the pun. I think we have all points covered on this. Like I think everything 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, we've got all the different turret structures are self-referent and self-supporting. So like everything can shoot everything, which means that anything that gets too close, like with ballistas, if you're closing distance here and you start engaging at the 500-foot scale with like mangonels and whatnot, you're going to regret it. All they gotta do is just keep you at bay with trebuchets long enough to get the Citadel to fire up and just hit you for disgusting damage and destroy you. Which is why you want to have an armada. You want the armada, the squadrons of faction ships to be soaking the damage for you, taking those hits, while you work on getting through all the defenses to be able to get yourself here and land, and then strut over, and then push your way in on foot at the 5-foot scale to say, hey, we kind of have you surrounded after you start breaking down these turret structures. And like if you can get like they have like maybe 400 hit point structures, like 400 hit points total among the catapult squads, and like it is, you know, d8 times 10 damage per hit, and it has like 3 or 4 hits, 3 attacks around. Once you start breaking these things down, you can start making demands from a position of strength, which is all we want to do. We want to empower your characters to have positions of strength, so that when you have these conversations, you aren't beseeching higher CR creatures. You're accumulating the resources to be able to hit at the same level as these creatures that you're trying to negotiate with through superior numbers and coordinated efforts. So that's always been the goal, to be able to coordinate your resources and your allies to operate as higher CR creatures, so that you can stand against the dragon, so that you can negotiate with Beelzebub, so that you can demand your world not be destroyed by horrible elves. Do that. Why is that off center? Probably because I'm a hack. There. Centered up. Alright, cool. So we have our strike points. Let's see. We got docks that we need to put into place. Interesting, this one on the outside rim. They just chose to do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm pretty happy with that. And then we'll have this be actually, let me grab this. I'm gonna put these in a separate layer. Let's do it like that. Here we go. This is like a college of some sort. Why they have it stuck so far out there, I do not know. You're not even really supposed to interact with it. Anyway, it's neat. I mean, they if this was second edition, they would have built an entire supplement just for this Citadel alone, for you to run around and have like D100 plot hooks and like 14 different side quest adventures for characters to interact with the people here to win them over in your favor, so that you could have a mutiny. Like maybe the people that live here aren't super cool with how authoritarian and fascist the elves are, and how violent they are to other cultures. Maybe that's a super unpopular thing they're doing that could use a revolution to stop, that we would be able to facilitate. But that's why it's kind of why TSR went out of business, because building these things are expensive as hell, and it has a very limited interest to an audience. Like when you have Planescape and Spelljammer and Vistara and Hollow Earth and Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk. Do I need a Maztica? Do I need to keep going? Character. Like these are all the different books and box sets that they were building just lore for. Like they'd spend $100,000 on lore. A lore book it has very limited mechanical relevance to the game. It's all just flavor, and it bankrupted them. Literally bankrupted them. I think Wizards is acutely aware that doing that is madness, but they've been relying on it for decades now. That the other company put in the work that they're obviously benefiting from. Because now it's like, oh, if you want to learn more about this stuff, don't bother me. Grab the document from DTRPG. I think Wizards of the Coast should be really promoting the lore of older editions that they're revisiting. I think they should be like promoting the hell out of the fact that you can buy them on the DM's Guild. Like they could be propping up that stuff hardcore. Like they have that ribbon here. I'll show you guys real quick. Total rant tangent. Forgive me, of course. But let's see. Let's just look at what happens to be on the ribbon up here when we do this. Launch off to war. Okay, so if Wizards was smart, you click into this stuff, it would have all of the actual Dragonlance books, and bam, there they are. War of the Lance. Yep, that's what they should be doing, and having all of this content in with the. It's not released yet, so us designers can't actually build anything for Dragonlance yet. We can as of December 6th. It'll be interesting to see if all of this first edition content remains here for purchase when this launches. If they'll be mixing these things in with, oh my god, I love this cover. I love this painting so much. It is such a cool painting. Love that. That was one. I had the Art of the art. This is an awesome book, Art of Dragonlance. Heavily recommend this thing if it's what I think it is. Oh my god, is that all the... You guys are such lazy bastards. This should have like all the art from all the books, all the spec paintings, all the mechanical design stuff. I bought 2 copies of this book. One because I loved it, and the other one I tore all the pages out and covered my wall with Elmore, Easley, and Caldwell paintings, and Parkinson too. Those are the 4: Jeff Parkinson, Clyde Caldwell, Larry Elmore, and Jeff Easley. Just those were my idols when I was 15. It's like, God, if I can get as good as you guys someday, I will consider this a good life. This book is amazing. Highly recommend. I might just end up buying it just to have it. Again, God, what a gorgeous book. But yeah, if they're smart, they're going to let all that DL content freely mix in with the DM's Guild content that the players put out, that us designers put out, so that they can be. And then they would promote that. It's like, here's this ribbon. You can buy all our DL stuff, all the lore stuff, and here's new stuff that are being put out by contemporary designers. That'd be my dream. But I don't know if Wizards is going to roll that way. They get paid for everything that's on there. I don't know why they wouldn't have just some cursory, more often have cursory nods to the design team saying, hey, here's a thing that's out there. But I've talked about favoritism in the past. Like, if you got 3 people that are making monster loot books and they're all releasing on the DM's Guild, which one do you prop up? They're not all the same quality. You don't want to actually get some fascist Nazi stuff going on inside your document that wasn't noticed. So if Wizards calls out a creator and that creator ends up being on the wrong side of the social network, it's just going to be endless hell for Wizards. So I don't blame them for staying neutral. I just wish there was I just wish there was more trust among each other to actually allow that sort of thing happen. I don't know, man. Why do people got to be fascists? Because they think they're doing the right thing, is what they think they're doing. They just don't. It's a shame. People could be better to each other. People could just be better for each other. It'd be nice. All right, so I'm not going to get weepy over that, I swear. Here, and boy, this is going to be a bear to work on. How important are all these things? Maybe I'll just work on an outline right now. And once I start laying down actual structures into here, I can start changing the shape of these outlines to maybe, like for example, you got this thing here. Maybe it should be built out into a stronger facility. Yeah, just even that stuff out a little bit. So this is only 1 mile, so it has planar gravity. You don't get spherical gravity until you hit 100 miles in scale. So there's an underside of this map which isn't being seen, but it's described mostly as farmland, which would be if there's trees and, you know, like grapevines and stuff like that. If there's enough stuff underneath this thing, then it would be able to be self-sustaining in oxygen. And we have the mechanics in the actual document here for like how much plant life do you need for different size populations of things in space to be self-sustained, like Rock of Brawl or like a living ship, etc. Yeah, so you want to have enough. You want to have enough flora in your environment to be self-replicating. Here, I'm going to clean up. Actually, I'm going to cut this out. You cut that out and build a better map here. Bop, bop. Here. I feel like this one here is the real winner. Yeah, that'll work. Nerf. There we go. Merge down. Oh, merge down. There we go. I don't necessarily agree with the military, the strategic placement of these docks and stuff like this. Like, it just seems, A, I love that, but B, yeah, it seems unnecessarily exposed to risk. Like we're bad on purpose. We taught him wrong on purpose. But I'm not gonna shit on the cartographer. It's, you know, they were told what to do, and there was no mechanical relevance to what they were doing. They were just making a map, and it looks cool, and that is enough. I'm a huge fan of the old armada ships from second edition, the big old quote 100 tonners, the 500 foot long super carriers that could have up to 100 fighter ships on its back. There weren't any real mechanics to differentiate fighter ships from full Spelljammer ships in second edition, but the fighter ships existed, and they just assumed they interacted with the map environment the same as full-size Spelljammer ships, which is why I'm so excited about the little fighter ships that we have in our playtesting, because that is directly lifting out of the original Spelljammer material, and it just wasn't supported or deemed. The only reason why Wizards, I will say, I don't know for a fact, but I will say the only sensible reason why Wizards didn't include more Spelljammer combat stuff in their Spelljammer's Adventure in Space is because that takes a ridiculous amount of development time. Like, it's taken me a year of developing mechanics to get to where we are now, of actually being able to publish something that's presentable and makes sense mechanically. But that's just the one me. See, that's the thing. Throwing more people and money at something doesn't mean it gets better in a shorter period of time. There is severe brewage, like steeping time. Like, you can build a vat of beer. It's gonna make 1,000 gallons of beer, or you can have just like a little growler that you have a self-serve for beer, but it's still going to take a number of weeks for that stuff to ferment. You can't make it faster than it could be made. You can only just make it at a larger production scale or a smaller self-serve scale. I'm working on a self-serve budget to produce a mass production product. So it takes a lot of time. If I had that studio set up the way that I wanted, and I had cartographers and artists and stuff working with me, and the design time would still take the same amount of time, and you don't know what assets need to be produced visually until the design work is done, and you say, oh yeah, a diagram here would help simplify this mechanical process that we're describing to you, but you don't actually know what you need until it's built, right? So there's the artwork is the like that that debacle with the Doom track Eternal OST, where they were having Mick designing song tracks for a song he hasn't seen any footage of, and he doesn't know the timing of the stage, so he has no idea if the dramatic crescendo of his music is going to coincide with you getting through the mobs to the boss fight to then cap off the boss fight. I don't blame him for being eternally frustrated and angry about that. It was a bad deal. It was a really, really bad deal. And but that's a really good case in point that you can't have production, like, unless you're just building like generic assets and stuff that you know for a fact are going to work. You can't have any specific assets created until you know exactly what you need those assets to actually be. So it's a big pickle, and the creative side is always the choking point of a product's release schedule. The artwork always takes the longest. Even just searching for stock art, you don't have to make yourself. Like in my case, I can potentially make a piece of art faster than I can find a suitable piece of stock art to put in there. But that's the advantage of having been an artist for the past 40 years. I can produce stuff. So most people don't have that advantage. It is a blessing for me that I didn't take interest in producing third-party content until I was already a pretty well-established artist. So that is in my eyes, that is a huge blessing. Right now we're just futzing around with style. I don't know how much is actually gonna. It's 7:30 now. Ooh, wow. I've been flying without a net, folks. So I need to set a timer here. I'm gonna set a timer for 15 minutes because I'm just starting to dive into detail work, and I'm excited about that. So give me a second here to set up my timer. 15 minutes. I'm gonna have two 15-minute blocks, and then I'm going to Yeti. So let's see. What up, buddy? A lifetime experience is helpful with that. Tracks. Well, it's how I mean, no brags or nothing. All modesty aside, it's why. How to put it? What am I trying to say? Yeah, I've been DMing for 30 some odd years, so it is a blessing to have that catalog of personal experiences, so that when I'm building these things, I actually know what flavor I'm looking for. Because I remember these games. I remember our fourth level characters in second edition, going to what was it, Daggerford in Forgotten Realms, getting a hotel room, renting 3 hotel rooms, and then stripping it of all materials that were inside of that room to build a catapult in 4 days. So that we could have a heist mission for a banking facility that was adjacent to the hotel. So we could build a catapult to fire a harpoon with a rope thick enough for us to zip line across into the bank to rob it and then get out of town. So when they track back, they'll see that we just tore off the wall planks and tore apart the beds and the desk to build a catapult in there that we can aim out the window. So we can fire a grappling line thick and strong enough for us to monkey our way over to rob from that place. Like, God, that was That was literally 30 years ago. But that's that shenanigans here of play. Like we had the architecture and the engineering backgrounds in second edition. Our team took that stuff so that we could build things like that. Like we would collapse tunnels by analyzing the structural integrity of a tunnel. So we would kill large underdark threats by caving it in on top of them. So, but I mean that's just, like I said, those are shenanigans. But it was the gold that got you the experience, not the kill. So the creatures were just obstacles in the way of the gold, and the gold is what gave you the experience points. So it was a different time, different game. But that's what I loved about it. Somebody said something. Not knowing it, I don't know the experience, so I watch and read all I can from those who have. Makes sense. I landed on your stream. I guess it does. Right on, man. Welcome to it. Really proud to have you. I'm glad that you've been enjoying the time. We'll, like we're doing here with Light of Xaryxis, we'll eventually be doing this with Descent into Avernus and Horde of the Dragon Queen. Probably going to do Storm King's Thunder as well, since his flying Cloud City is basically a Spelljammer ship. So once we look at the adventure from that perspective, we can rebuild how you go from crawl around that fly around the hex crawl and beat up dragons at different cities. It's going to become more of a run and gun campaign than, again, it's the disempowerment of characters in 5e is staggering. I honestly don't know how many designers they have left at Wizards of the Coast that had any experience actually playing first edition. A lot of the writers that they have now are like in their 20s. So at best, maybe they have experience with like 4th edition, maybe 3rd edition if somebody showed it to them. But there's the old guard has its purpose. And that purpose is I think plausibility of like, if you build something, how is that gonna kick? Like when I read through these things, I'm like, I don't see how my characters are important in any of these things, and that's the allow me an old long tooth rant for a moment. But as I understand it, one of the major problems we have in American culture right now among youth is how irrelevant they feel, how ignored they feel, how disempowered they are, how their decisions don't matter, no matter what, they're fucked. And I see that reflected in the way that adventures are designed in 5e. All of these adventures disempower your character and require you to beseech higher CR creatures to give you the thing that you need to complete the quest. It's not, how can you find a way to build the resources to demand that you get what you need, because in this instance you're trying to save your world from fascists, and it's not really presented that way. You shouldn't negotiate with these people. You should kill them. They should die. They're a threat to the multiverse. They really are framed that way. That is like a quote. So why would you want to beseech and ask their help? Oh no, spoiler alerts, okay? Spoiler alerts, are we go spoilers here? Okay, great. Everyone that could possibly even have a decision at this facility are jerks. They're all going to end up betraying you, stabbing you in the back during the course of the adventure, and you just kind of have to take it. There's no real way for you to say, this facility is mine now. I'm going to free all your people, and oh my god, the smut bots are back. Smut bots, you gotta go, kid. Hold on. Let's go. Let's go fix the smut. Remove. It's going to take years for me to get all this stuff done, but I mean, That's what we're doing. Honestly, to me, the time needed to build all this stuff out and doing it on stream just allows me an opportunity to connect with more people like you guys. So, and the stuff gets done when the stuff gets done. Obviously, I just keep pushing the bar forward, so it eventually gets done. And once it does, we push it out and we move on to the next piece. So, this should hopefully not look like I'm stealing too much. Different format, different structure, trying to build some design language into walls and structures and stuff. I think it's panning out okay. I feel like it's have another circle there instead. So I don't find it ironic at all that the adventures that are being created right now are depicting you, the character, you being disempowered yet again and having to beseech a higher power to save the day. You are just an emissary of impotence being led by the nose through these adventures. I know that Wizards built these things to have... They don't really talk about... Like, this is supposed to be a complete adventure, but it's very unsatisfying to go through it because they have so little page content available to them. All the challenges feel trite, is probably the best word. It's too light, it's too fluffy, and it doesn't have enough gaminess to it. It's very story-driven. It's not a game. It's a story that your characters occasionally take damage to hear more about. But there's not... Like an arena battle... it's D&D. It's 5-foot scale combat. What else do you expect them to do? It's like, well, you don't have any mechanics in place to do anything else. So you built, like they say, when all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. When all you have is narrative focus, then everything is going to be a cutscene in a video game where you have actually very little interaction or very little you can actually do. It's just how beat up are you when you get to the next bullet point. And that is... It relies heavily on how the DM is going to modify it, but Wizards doesn't lean into the modification community, the modders, as it were, that are on the DMs Guild, that are supplementing and adding breadth to these adventures because Wizards has an arbitrary page limit that they put on these things to pull the line of profit that they think that they need to do to be a productive company and the share values. And by the way, if you haven't looked at Wizards of the Coast, they're like at half their value now because they're because they're pumping out too much content too quickly with not enough quality. It's happening in Magic the Gathering. It's happening in D&D. We used to have like 2 books a year in 5th edition. Now we have like 5 or 7. The production pipeline is hyping because they're trying to push more money into their pockets by getting you to buy more stuff. But the faster they, like I was just saying, you need time to slow cook these things. Like high quality hasn't really, I think the general consensus is the peak of content production for 5th edition pretty much peaked with Xanathar's Guide. And everything else has been slowly cutting back on how much resources, how much time, how much energy do we need to put into things. Like Xanathar's was super successful. Can we get that same level of success with half the effort? I think they're starting to find the answer is no. Hasbro's making, yeah. I mean, it's because they're over corporatized. They're beholden to the public trade, and you need to know when to say no, man. And so I don't know what kind of personal decisions are being made by. See, that's the problem. The corporate decisions are being made by people, and people get payouts for quarterly gains, not like how successful was 5th edition. We'll pay you an extra $1 million for every % that you grow the fan base over the next 6 years. No, they're like, we're going to give you X amount of a cash bonus for changing profit margin this much this next 3-month cycle. Well, we need to get another 3 books out in the next 3 months. so that I can push profits so I personally can benefit from that. They're taking a large-scale organization and they're placing individual profits over the health and life of the larger guild structure, which is them scaling up greed. So, it's, you know, good luck. Good luck to us. Good luck to all of us, because like cinching down the OGL so that only they can produce. You only can do 60 content if you give Wizards of the Coast a cut of the 60 content is a fine business model if they provide the support to sell that stuff. Like if I'm going to silo myself in with you, I would like to have more corporate support and outreach through social media to say, hey, here's things that happen. You should go check these things out. Like if you aren't checking out the DM's Guild regularly as a player, you're missing out on a huge chunk of where design space is heading using 5e right now. There's some really smart people, smart as, if not maybe smarter than me, that are building content on 5e. And I say that with zero modesty. I think we've all established pretty much at this point that I think very long-term, very large, I mean literally very large scale in my game. And it's a very unique perspective that it's been a tough nut to crack on how to integrate this Kingmaker scaling to actually work. I was really surprised, sorry, tangent, I was really surprised to find out that Kingmaker 2nd edition wasn't really playtested. Apparently the guy that designed the thing flat out said in Reddit that, yeah, we haven't playtested most of this stuff, but they want $100 for it on Roll20. Like this thing's gonna be like $20 on the DM's Guild. I'm gonna get half of that. Like this product is going to be a fucking steal if you know what the hell you're talking about. It just shocks me. It just shocks me that these companies have these vast resources and they keep missing the mark. Anyway, I think it's a shame, and I see why it happens, because you know a corporation can't approach the product like a passion project, but if they did, it's appreciated. It's just fans appreciate it. Man, I'm really happy with that. That's looking pretty good, man. So let's go over here and see if I can pull off the same thing on this side. Is it supposed to be? It's gonna be different. Ooh, it is gonna be different. Okay. Well, some of it can be. Oops, I just locked my thing up. So I'm gonna have to hit save and take another cut. Oh, we got 15 minutes left with my day, my friends. It's really difficult for me to not start ranting about the decision making that led us from 2nd edition to 5th edition, you know, without sounding like a jerk. Because I've lived through all of them, and I've seen for lack of a better word, the degradation of empowerment in this game. Like 2nd edition D&D, it was like, until you got to 3rd edition, the whole game was about what can I do as a player? What can I can figure out how to make things work for me? What can I do to take what limited resources we have inside of this game and succeed at the task that's being given to us? Like that used to be what it was like I like to describe it. It was an escape room. It was a virtual escape room. And all you had was the DM's narrative description of the environment and the player's questions and actions to try to get out of the escape room. It was incredibly far ahead of its time. Let's do that. So it's a real shame that aspect got stripped out of D&D in time, and I don't think they did it intentionally. I think it's because the people that are in charge of D&D didn't play 1st edition. They don't have, again, no brags or nothing, but I've been around for frickin' ever. I don't think they have people, like I said, they've got 20-year-olds designing and writing adventures now, and their whole generation has been nothing but disempowered. So like, what kind of a power fantasy can they actually have? How can they actually express this stuff inside of a game? How do they build a game system that is like, yeah, we're taking over this town. You know, we're gonna tear this place apart. It is ours now. Like that is a really difficult thing to even build into, like if your worldview doesn't match that, how are you supposed to build adventures that reflect it as well? It's a pickle, says I. It's a true pickle. And I in no way look down on what has been produced by the people, like basically the kids that are making these things. Like, they're smart kids, they're good writers, they can tie words together good, but their experience doesn't bode well for having truly heroic fantasy, like Conan and stuff, like going in a temple and tearing it apart. And, I don't know. It's just a different time. I think I made my point. I at this point am risking becoming a jerk. So I'm gonna back off. I'm building these things because that play style is so satisfying. It is so satisfying to have these backgrounds of people and potentially like family and friends and stuff that have taken losses as part of your character's backstory, and not to have the tools to be able to change the world so that it's better. Like in second edition, first second edition, it was assumed that you were going to build a domain, build your own kingdom where you can make the decisions of right and wrong, and how do I want to treat people, and like you can like it's like a property dispute that has escalated to the point where you begrudgingly get off your ass and go down and check out to see what the facility looks like. So whoever's having these conflicts of interest, you can make a decision as their lord of how this thing's going to shake out. And when you get there, oh my god, there's bullets tearing this place up or whatever. It's like, wow, this is a lot worse than you guys said it was. I'm glad I'm an 8th level character that I can now, this sinkhole, for instance, is leading into the Underdark. You guys were going to get killed. I'm glad you brought it to my attention. This is above your pay grade. Step back and let me take some heroes. Let me take a squad of commandos down into that hole with me, and let's see if we can make this place safe for you guys to farm. You know, like that was where Heroes landed, because it was a war game simulator. It was an army scale. It was like Warhammer 40K with your armies and your troops and you're moving around the battlefield. D&D was you zooming in to the individual. It's like, I want to do a crack commando team to go take out that general's command post. I want to nuke it, so I want to bring a team in to blow it up. Like, well, we need to build small scale combat, commando combat mechanics to facilitate that sort of a surgical strike. It's like, well, then we can just build a whole game out of it, and now we have D&D. It was originally small scale decision making to affect a larger scale combat, a larger scale war. So your characters would naturally evolve into generals, and then the reward for being a successful general was land. So you became a lord. Successful knights became dukes to replace the fallen lineages in the wartime. They had to replace the nobles that were lost land and lost their lives. They had to be replaced with new nobles, and the new nobles were the heroes that were loyal to the winning side. Your loyalty, choosing the right faction to align with, and then putting the muscle behind it to secure that land, that kingdom. That's what gained you your barony, and now it's on you to make that barony function, to satisfy the serfs that are indentured to that land, to make sure that you're giving them enough downtime that they don't mind so much. Like I guess I was reading that back in medieval days, serfs only worked the Lord's land like 20 hours a week. The rest of the week was their own to do whatever they want. Their tithe was manpower. They gave you enough of their hours of effort to produce for the whole fief. And then the rest of it is like, if you want to be a cobbler and build a shoe shop, that's cool. We still need your hours of labor to make this place work. But the rest of it, go for it. You aren't going to have any kind of political power, and you're going to have to work with the merchant guilds to have any kind of economic power. But you can work your own farm, your own ranch, your own shop. You can have your own festivals. You have your own culture inside of this fief, but you have to invest your taxes or hours of labor. And if you aren't showing up to work because you're wounded or something, that's a huge problem for me, because now I don't have my resources working. I'm not going to have the materials converted into something that's sellable that I can then go to my lord at the end of the season and say, Mighty Caesar, here is my 500 bushels of grain that I give to you as an homage for being the lord of this territory. Like you gave me this block of 500 feet inside of this city block. This city block is responsible for producing, say, 5,000 gold this season. So if I've got 5,000 gold being produced per square, this is a kingdom building idea. If I have this block of resources producing 5,000 gold, that's a baseline that I need to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. So if I can maintain a comfortable lifestyle for this entire citadel, everyone that lives on side of here is going to be comfortable working and living there, as long as every square is producing what it needs. Like, this is dead space. These squares, these don't produce any actual production value. So the rest of the production being produced inside of these squares, and then the underside of it, all the farmland on the underside of this needs to be productive enough with enough gold to finance the ships and the manpower and the trebuchet teams to be able to have this be a working facility. And that falls on the guys that are in the ivory tower here. Like, they have to be able to manage this thing and protect it enough so that it can be self-sustaining, because it has to produce enough air that everyone doesn't die in 100 days because they ran out of oxygen. That means I need you putting in at least 20 hours a week on the underside of this thing, tending the crops to make sure that we're producing enough oxygen to stay going and enough food to be self-sustaining. Like, that's big picture stuff. Are they still bringing that? Hasbro's making that. Are they still bringing that? I'm sorry, I've been ranting so long, I don't know what that is referring to. Are they still bringing that to 5e? Because, I mean, I've been kind of down the rabbit hole in my own rant circuit here, so forgive me for not keeping tabs on. I feel like there should be an interior sweep here. Like, ships work in 3 dimensions, yo. I feel like there should be an inside piece like that. We are almost out of time for the day. We got like a few minutes left, and I gotta bail. Pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's, which is my hours. I am a serf in the capitalist fief machinery. And I am proud to pay my dues, to have the conveniences of me being able to just do this as a side passion project. I am in the most blessed generation on this planet, in the most blessed nation of that society. I do not mind paying my way until I get enough support from these projects to become completely independent. And just, can you imagine me being able to do this 10 hours a day? Oh my God. The amount of work that I could get done I look forward to the holiday season when I can take a week off of my day job and pretend that I am, and I do it for my birthday as well in May. I take a week off to pretend I'm a full-time a full-time designer and a full-time artist, and to get stuff done. I'll have the day after Thanksgiving, Friday the 25th, I think. I'll have that day off, so I'll be able to. And that's next week. So a week from now, it'll be a full production day for me here online. We'll see what I get built. So be welcome to show up. I guess that's my heads up. Friday the 25th is a design jam day for me. So my gal has to go into the office and do her day job, which leaves me here alone, which means that I get to paint all day, all day. Paint all day. Paint, and maybe some writing. I suspect Friday's going to be a deep Eberron day. A week, after Thanksgiving, that is going to be nothing but Eberron map and interior artwork design. 10 hours of Eberron. That's going to be awesome. I'll probably break it up into chunks. I wish I knew what we were talking about when you asked me what that was. Hold on real quick, because this is banging a hole through my head. Let me see when that showed up. Good luck to all of us. It is a fine business model. Literally, yeah, like these hats printed most of this stuff, but they want $100 for it on Roll20. Like this thing's gonna be like $20 on the DMsGuild. I'm gonna get half of that. Like this product is going to be a fucking steal if you know what the hell you're talking about.
Are they still bringing that to 5e?
It just shocks me. Maker scaling, large scale in my game. Zero modesty. I think this is heading using 5e right now. There's some really smart people, smart as if not maybe smarter than me, that are building content on 5e, and I say that with zero modesty. I think we've all established pretty much at this point that I think very long-term, very large, live that it's been a tough nut to crack on how to integrate this Kingmaker scaling to actually work. If we're talking about like scaling mechanics and like kingdom stuff. Oh, that's right, because 6e is going to go back to what is it? 6e said that they're going to have bases like domains or whatever. I'll be perfectly honest. I have zero faith that Wizards knows how to build kingdoms. I just don't think they have anyone there that has any first edition experience to even. They may flip through the books to get ideas, but I don't think they're ever going to spend like this amount of time trying to figure out how to make all that stuff actually work with the 5e mechanic system that they have. I'll be shocked if they do. I'm going to be shocked if they even have mechanics for Dragonlances in this Dragonlance supplement that's coming out on December 6th. I think there's like a 4 in 6 chance that they don't even have stats for Dragonlance. I will be pleasantly surprised if they do. But from everything, all the what little spoilers they've dropped about Dragonlance at this point, after it being completed for God knows how many months, they still haven't really told us anything about it. The only thing they've really told us is that they're going to have 5-foot scale combat encounters with boss fights, and the only way they're really depicting army sieges during that is by having hazards. A random hazard occur every round of combat you're fighting the boss in this arena style where you're being ringed by other conflicts that you're not supposed to engage with, but occasionally a horse on fire runs through, or dragon flames are near your battle, so now you have to make a saving throw. That is not a war. That is not you taking command of an army, and it certainly isn't a board game. So the board game is basically Wizards saying, we don't know how to make combat work in 5e, so we're going to take what's probably a failed game effort from Wizards, from Hasbro's, chances are Hasbro's tried to make some sort of a game. It didn't work. It was laying around in R&D, just wasting money because it was research they can't monetize. They probably said, hey, here's some board game ideas. Do you want to try to build a 5e IP out of it? And they probably said, hey, we can do this Dragonlance thing based off of this. I'll never know for sure, and they would obviously never tell us what, how they came to the conclusion that a board game is the best way to depict commanding an army in Dragonlance, but that just sounds like a corporate thing to do. And all things being equal, the simplest explanation is typically the most likely. So chances are this is just, they weren't even really intending on doing a board game. Hasbro's probably just had a board game that failed that they could reskin to work with Dragonlance. I will be utterly shocked if it uses anything remotely like 5e mechanics. I will be pleasantly surprised, and I'll probably be able to convert it almost immediately into what we're doing if it has any kind of mechanical chops whatsoever. But this is me being a real dick and acting really superior. But after a year of building mechanics that work seamlessly at any scale for your character to use the same 5e mechanics to run at 5 feet, 50 feet, 5 feet, 500 feet, 10 miles, build a kingdom that's 10,000 miles in scale. I'm going to be really impressed if they build something that's better than what we have here for you guys, for you to look at right now in the playtest down below. You can check it all out for yourself. It's really rough. It's ugly, but it'll all eventually be cleaned up like the stuff I have on the DMsGuild link down below. It'll all get polished, prettied, painted, statted, and resources provided for you to do everything that we've been talking about in these streams for the past 150 hours of content production. Like, all this stuff is going to be available for you guys to use and build out yourself. And I'm supposed to be building a Discord for my playtest teams to all interact with each other, which will eventually become a Phil Kearney creation Discord channel that I'll have to moderate eventually and kick people out for being racist and shit. I'm not looking forward to any of that management stuff. I already moderate Indestructiboy's Designosphere, and that's already me I do that to earn my keep and to be able to post stuff there, and which has paid me dividends. It's obviously a mutually beneficial relationship, but I am not anxious to fire up my own community. It's what's needed to continue growing your brand, but I am not excited about having to all that stuff and like to be on my shoulders. It's a drawback. Anyway, my day is over. I need to stop and get to my day job, but yeah, we're making progress here, man. We're a fair way into building this thing, and once it's all kitted out, yeah, this will be dropped in. This is the map. We'll be able to put this in the Roll20. Go check out around episode 30 when I walk through the paces of how this battle plays out. We'll be doing that again. We'll eventually get some actual playtest content up there so that we can put our stats where. We can put our actions where our stats are, as it were. That's a stupid analogy. Anyway. Right on, dude. Kingmaker, are they still bringing that to 5e? Kingmaker, 5e? I don't know if they're going to do that. If they do, it needs work. It's not. I've seen some reviews on it, and the system doesn't even work the way it's built right now. It has internal, you have to be a certain level of skill to be able to do some of the things that you need to do to get to the level of skill you need to do them. So it's like a chicken and an egg. It's self-blocking. The machinery doesn't mesh properly. They're welcome to. It's cool. This will be 20% of the cost, so you can just use my stuff instead. But Kingmakers, I like Paizo. I think their heart's in the right place. But anyway, hey, I'm done for the day. I'm going to see you guys, I'll be back tomorrow morning to do more of this stuff. I'm playtesting tonight, so you won't see me around. Like, subscribe, support, yada yada, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks a lot, guys.